Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well and taking care, and welcome to my review for the latest episode of Doctor Who Power of the Doctor. Quickly though, before we get started, if you are new to the channel and you enjoy my content and my videos, then a subscribe would be really appreciated, especially right now when I'm like so close to 5,000 subscribers. I would love to reach that milestone this week at all, if possible. So yeah, basically all I'm saying, if you enjoy my videos, you enjoy my content, then a subscribe, if you can, would be super appreciated. Right, so, Power of the Doctor, where do we start? Because there is a lot to talk about. I guess we'll start with the very beginning, and that would be Dan's exit, because that happened very early on within the first 10 minutes of the episode. And to be honest, his exit was fine. I feel it's a bit strange we didn't see Diane in this episode, because Diane was a big part of Flux. She was also mentioned in Legend of the Sea Devils. It was kind of hinted that Diane and Dan were going to get together. So it's a bit weird we didn't see Diane in this episode, but it is what it is. If I'm honest, Dan hasn't been like the best companion in Doctor Who. I feel that it's just strange how little screen time the Doctor and Dan have actually spent together. I know that Dan's been spending a lot of time with YAZ instead, and don't get me wrong, they do have a nice friendship, but it's just weird having so little screen time between the Doctor and Dan. But yeah, his exit was fine here. I believe John Bishop was going on tour when the Centenary special was filming, so that's probably why Dan left so early on. But yeah, it was fine, and you know, not much else to say on it. I just wish Dan was used a bit better overall in Doctor Who. So a big selling point of this episode was of course the return of Ace and Tegan, and I'm glad to say I feel their return was done justice by Chris Chibnall. It wasn't perfect. I feel I would have liked more time with our version of the Doctor, the 13th Doctor, getting more time with Ace and Tegan, but I feel what made up for it was the fact that Ace and Tegan got their own moments with their own versions of the Doctor. It was just incredible seeing Peter Davison and also Sylvester McCoy return to Doctor Who to have a special moment with Ace and Tegan, and especially when Peter Davison mentioned Adric. That was a really nice moment in my opinion. So yeah, Ace and Tegan, in my opinion, were done justice. Again, I would have liked to have had more time with them, with the 13th Doctor, but this episode just had so much to do, and I do feel the fact that they got to meet their own versions of the Doctor one more time really did make up for it. In terms of classic Doctors as a whole, I mentioned it yesterday, but it was just amazing getting to see Peter Davison, Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker, David Bradley, and Paul McGann all return to Doctor Who. Yes, this was a short moment. They didn't have a huge role in the episode, but still, I just think the fact, especially that we got 80s Doctors and Paul McGann back on our screen, even if it was short, it was extremely sweet. And yeah, Paul McGann was just incredible. I was not expecting to see Paul McGann in this episode. But yeah, Chris Chibnall did an amazing job by bringing especially 80s Doctors back into Doctor Who to have a bit of a very special reunion moment. With regards to the actual main plot of this episode, it was about this idea of forced regeneration, because the Master wanted to basically consume the Doctor's body and become the Doctor, but obviously an evil version of the Doctor that caused destruction. And I got to say, I loved Sacha's Master in this. He was kind of more how he was, I guess, in Spyfall. He was a very chaotic version of the Master. Maybe he's actually more like John Sims' Master from Series 3, maybe. But yeah, I really liked his more chaotic madness version of the Master in this. And it was really funny getting to see him as the Doctor. I thought Sacha Dhawan really pulled that off well, and we got all the old costumes coming back as well. This was a very fan servicey episode, don't get me wrong, but I feel for the most part it came off very well. Of course, another big part of this episode was the Daleks and the Cybermen, and especially the Cybermen. I thought the Cybermen were used really well in the story. It was nice to see the Cybermasters back, and they felt much more better utilised in this episode compared to the Timeless Children. They just had a bit of a more threatening vibe behind them. And we also had the Daleks. They were fine. I don't really feel the Daleks were necessary here, but I guess, you know, it's a big celebration of Doctor Who's history, and it makes sense for the Daleks and the Cybermen to be involved. So yeah, they were both fine, but I found the Cybermen were much better utilised than the Daleks. It was also good to see Ashad back again. Nothing incredible from him. Was he really necessary? I'm not sure, but again, he was there and he was absolutely fine. Not much to complain about, really. And finally, towards the end of the episode, we had the big moments. We had YAZ's exit and then the regeneration itself. So with YAZ's exit, I said yesterday that I actually teared up at her exit, and I still agree with that. It's because it's quite emotional seeing the Doctor and Yaz kind of having a special moment, crying together as they know the Doctor is about to regenerate. My only issue with Yaz's exit is I feel they should have made it more clear why exactly Yaz was leaving. I know it's because the Doctor wanted to regenerate alone, but Yaz accepted that very easily, and I feel Yaz would have really, realistically, she would have put more of a push against leaving the Doctor. So it was fine. I feel it was made better by the ending when Yaz was with the whole new companion support group, which was an amazing scene by itself. The fact we got to see Ian, the Doctor's first companion, and Joe Grant come back, just amazing. Like I said, very fan service episode, but I feel for the most part it came off well. But yeah, Yaz's exit was good. It was emotional. I just feel there should have been more emphasis why Yaz was exactly leaving the Doctor, because she did leave very early, and then it's weird they didn't have at least a hug or anything. They just nodded at each other, which was a weird decision. But then finally, at the very end, we had the big moment, the biggest of them all, which was the regeneration. And I've got to say, this is potentially my favourite regeneration from Doctor Who yet. I really liked how 13 didn't go out with a long speech. It was just a few words. She was very positive, looking to the future, excited, and that's exactly, in my opinion, the right vibe for Jodie Whittaker's Doctor to regenerate on. And then, of course, we had David Tennant appeared. I talked about it yesterday, but it was an incredible moment. David Tennant is my Doctor. I grew up watching the David Tennant era of the show. So yeah, seeing him back as the current Doctor is fantastic. I know the idea is not for everyone, especially if David Tennant isn't like a favourite Doctor of yours. You're not going to like this idea as much as others. But personally, on a personal level, David Tennant is my favourite Doctor, and I'm just so excited for next year. It sucks we have to wait 13 months now, but we have lots more to talk about. We have, Series 14 will start filming from next month, and then I'm sure we'll get a new companion announcement soon. And then I'm sure marketing for the 60th anniversary will kick off at San Diego Comic-Con next July, because I'd imagine they'll want to really kick it off with a bang, and San Diego Comic-Con is the perfect opportunity. But there we go, that is my overall thoughts on Doctor Who Power of the Doctor. If I had to give it a rating, I would probably give it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. There's not much to really complain about. There's small parts throughout the episode, but for the most part, it just works really well. I would say maybe this episode doesn't feel the strongest end to this era, because there's a lot of unanswered questions. It didn't really feel like Phasmin got much of a conclusion in the story. And of course, the Timeless Child wasn't touched upon at all. But maybe that was the best. Maybe it was the best to just have a fun, action-packed episode to end on, rather than an episode that has to tie up all the loose ends. And yeah, so there you go. That's my thoughts on Power of the Doctor. Let me know your own thoughts in the comment section below. Once again, if you enjoy my videos, enjoy my content, subscribe for future Doctor Who videos. For you guys, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.